Asking a woman to dance always seems so terrifying. And the past few years just didn't seem to matter that much. Figured I'd wait.
For what?
Right partner.
The essential conflict in Steve is the desire to serve, and that desire to serve would supersede his personal identity.
He's got an amazing set of morals and values. He's an incredibly good man, given the hand that life has dealt him. Dr. Erskine knows that if this guy's given this great gift, he won't take advantage of it. He understands how to value what he has, because he didn't always have it.
The common issue among all the Marvel heroes is that they have a very vulnerable side to them, and Steve Rogers is certainly no exception to that. He is probably the most vulnerable before he becomes Captain America.
He, more than any of the other superheroes, really kind of loses who he was in the process of becoming him. Because he was a scrawny 90-pound man who gets changed into Captain America, so the old him ceases to exist. There's no life of Steve Rogers that he goes back to. Almost, I get the feeling he'd be more comfortable if he could wear the outfit the whole time, because then he has a persona, then he knows who he is.
It's the first time he was valued. He had very few people who valued him, as he wasn't quite an orphan, but he was alone fairly early on, and he had one friend, it was Bucky Barnes, and Bucky Barnes goes off to war. He was a scrappy kid who got picked on all his life.
He is very relatable. He is a superhero, but all his power is basically what the human body can do.
Once circumstances lead him to being Captain America, he finds, a purpose.
You told me you thought I was meant for more than this. Did you mean that?
Every word.
Peggy has a career, and she has a lot of self-respect, and she's pretty sick and tired of lots of men kind of not taking her seriously in the army and playing around with her. I think Peggy relates to someone really fighting for what they believe in and really having to struggle all the time to prove themselves. And she, being the only woman in this environment, knows exactly what that feels like. It's not just the normal, everyday love story. There's something else.
In the same way that we love Steve because he exhibits some sort of determination and selflessness, it's the same thing that attracts her to him.
Steve learned a lot from Peggy Carter. If you go back and look at the first Avenger, that is the essential relationship that I think turned him into who he is today. It turned him into Captain America. Her sense of integrity, her call to action are all qualities that have been ingrained in Steve and are his best qualities. And they come from example from Peggy. And so I think it was critical that her character embodied those essential qualities, because he wouldn't be who he is without them.
We're gonna need a rain check on that dance.
A week next Saturday at the Stork Club.
You got it.
8 o'clock on the dot. Don't you dare be late.
The great tragedy of Steve Rogers' existence was, he found the love of his life and then had to sacrifice himself in 70 years of his life to save the world.
I always found it very endearing about Cap that for all that character has sacrificed, and he sacrificed a lot, the one thing he could never let go of was Peggy, and it stayed with him all those years.
It's been so long. So long.
Well, I couldn't leave my best girl. Not when she owes me a dance.
We want the audiences to feel moved by it. People have sent me poems that they've written about Peggy and Cap, and montages that they've sent me of Peggy and Cap's greatest moments, like putting soundtracks over them, like Aerosmith soundtracks or something, and longing looks from Peggy and Cap, and I'm realizing that the story's affected them, and that's great because we feel like that's what we wanted. We wanted something that had heart to it, that people essentially cared about. Even after he died, Steve was still changing my life.
I really like what they let my character experience in these movies, to be honest. The struggle and the sacrifice and the culmination of friendships that have had peaks and valleys, and it's just a really layered, colorful experience.
His arc over the course of the movies take him from a place of service to where he started to question authority and ultimately embrace his identity and become self-actualized. And he has the opportunity in Avengers Endgame to go back and correct the loss and be with Peggy, the love of his life. And he makes that choice.
So did something go wrong or did something go right? Well, after I put the stones back, I thought maybe Try some of that life Tony was telling me to get.
You're trying to tap into Steve's journey before you go to set to understand what this moment means to him, but you can't help but think about your own and think about what this entire experience has meant to you. Oh, God, you can get choked up even thinking about it right now.
You want to tell me about her?
No. No, I don't think I will.